going live, and you're live. And welcome to another day in the Milky Way, everybody. By gosh, here we go. And we got another great episode of Native American Myths and Legends. And as you know, I'm Robert V, and my co-host, David Null, Hawkeye Two Feathers. Thank you all for coming. It's going to be a great night tonight. We're going to talk about things. We got some new books to look at and to talk about. We're going to do a story from the Spider Spins a Story. And I got some things picked out, but we're going to go way back tonight, way back in time. That's what it's all about. We're going way back, because we always are. We've been going through, and it's time to go back in time.
Greetings, everybody. We're going to get in the Wayback Machine.
That's right. That's right. You going to do the
all
greetings
right,
and blessings?
Let's get in the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, remember that show? What was that called?
Anyway, yeah, something in Sherman.
Yeah.
Mr. Peabody.
Mr. Peabody. Absolutely. Elderberry's in the house, and Witchy Moon, and Brandy Robinson, Chloe, Andrew Phillips. Thank you. He says, I'm not sure I'll still be awake when this starts. If not, I'll watch it in the morning. Absolutely. It's on YouTube. It'll be ready to watch anytime you're ready to watch it. That's the best part. It's there forever. And trust me, if you don't... A what?
Am I ready to watch it now?
Yeah.
You better watch it, Robert.
That's right. And if you can't catch this whole episode, remember the stories will be on the Milky Way Shorts, and you can just listen to a story once in a while. Just click the one that you like the best. Give it a thumbs up, and we'll be putting them all out there eventually. A little here and a little there. Catch our last episode about the spider. There's going to be coyote stories. There's going to be raven stories. There's all kinds of stories, mud stories, flood stories, dragon. There's a dragon one coming up soon. And so I'm sure you guys will all enjoy the shorts, because David Null does such a great job reading them. And it's just amazing.
You. I've been raving about you too.
Yeah, but my history just doesn't seem the same without the stories.
No, you were talking about the Raven. Never
mind.
The
Raven. I get it.
I was raving about you too.
It went right over my head, right over the hat and everything.
You know, hey, you're such a great straight man.
Yes, I am. I didn't even know it, but I sure am.
Never mind. Never mind.
Yeah, wasn't it like Abbott and Costello and Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin? Dean Martin was always a straight guy, and Jerry, or and Jerry Lewis was the comic guy. Oh man.
And Tommy and Dickie Smothers. Please don't forget the Smothers brothers.
The Smothers brothers. Yeah, I didn't watch them as much as I did the other guys, but man, Bob Hope and what's his name did all those Road to Rio. Ben Crosby. Yeah, his name escapes me all the time.
Road to Rio, Road to Utopia, Road to Zanzibar, and man, I love those shows. Those were good. I got them all in my video. I just watched that Zanzibar one here not too long ago. And for since we're down that slight road of nostalgia, the Marx Brothers.
Oh yes,
the older Marx Brothers, the movies they did. Yeah, and I've seen some clips where Zeppo, the one that doesn't talk.
Yeah.
But oh my God, he plays the harp.
Mm-hmm.
Harpo, he literally, and there's some things where if they're during the movie, for whatever reason, you see him, he does this musical number. Oh my gosh, it's phenomenal. And the guy in the middle with the hat, Chico, he plays a piano you just would not believe. So watch an old
an old, Marx Brothers show.
I bet you there's a lot of people
and,
don't even know what the Marx Brothers here.
The humor it's dry, but I've watched some of these old movies, over the years, and some of the lines are like, some of the lines are just so classic,
Yeah, let's see if we can find something.
Marx. And I don't mean Karl Marx.
Oh yeah, I wonder if they'll let us play this. These are so old, nobody probably cares. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna put it on pause in case you guys don't know who the Marx brother is. I think we can get away with a few seconds of oh crap, stop share. I gotta put a screen share sound.
So one of the greatest lines, he's talking to one of the ladies and he goes, "So don't leave in a huff, leave in a minute and a huff."
Okay, let's see. This is the Marx brother.
Hey, Baraballi.
What do you want?
Watch the door for a few minutes. And don't let anyone in without the password.
All right, what is it?
Swordfish is the password, do you understand?
Okay, I got it.
Well, what is it?
Password.
Swordfish! Swordfish!
Right, the swordfish, the swordfish. Piazza muscles in the room full of faccia dosi pazzi. Who are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Who are you?
I'm fine too, but you can't come in unless you give the password.
Oh, what is the password?
Oh, no, you gotta tell me. Hey, I tell what I do, I give you 3 guesses. It's the name of a fish.
Is it Mary?
That's no fish.
She isn't. Well, she drinks like one.
Okay. For that, otherwise we'd get banned yet. But remember that was, look at the one-liners. You can't go wrong with it. I know this is a myths and legends show, but the Marx brothers were myths and legends all to themselves, weren't they?
Yeah, but not only that, but hidden in within that humor and slapstick were these guys that were tremendous musicians.
Yes.
Yes. Phenomenal, knock your socks off you, and you go, well, I just thought he was a comic. No, they were talented musicians. So, but anyway, I want to kick them off with that. What is it, Marx Brothers Day or something? But anyway,
probably, yeah.
All right, thank y'all. No, that was our just lead in for folks to catch up with us.
Well, yeah, exactly. They're piling in now. We got Susie Q's in the house, and she says, hello, David Null. And we got David Castle. He says, much greetings and favor. And Brandy Robinson, Elderberry's in the house. Witchy Moon, of course, and Julie Stowe. She's all about good evening, Soul Tribers. Well, good evening, much prosperity and favor to you, Julie Stowe. Thank you for coming. I always enjoy when Julie Stowe comes on. She's always got nice things to say. Okay, let's get on with our show part and our information. So I got this stuff here, and I'm going to flip this up so you guys can see the pictures, so you know where we're going tonight. And there you go. If you could see that, this is where we're going. This is ancient times. I should have run that off as a copy, but I did not do that. Galleries. Okay.
I'm gonna turn off the coffee pot. I'll be right back.
You go right ahead. I got a lot of reading to do. Okay, so today we're gonna read about, it's called Catherwood, Reports of Lost Civilizations, because who doesn't like lost civilizations, right? Okay, during the long march of centuries, many prehistoric cultures and civilizations that are still obscure to modern scholars rose and fell in the New World. Some of them burned fitfully and were extinguished with little trace. Others left remains of splendid eras and empires that soared high above the primitive level. When the Spaniards reached the New World, they heard of the crumbling ruins of ancient civilizations hidden in the Yucatan jungles.
and parts of Central America. From time to time, the newcomers explored some of the ruins and were awed by their magnificence, but their wondrous reports were generally discredited by the skeptical world. Finally, in 1839, John Lloyd Stevens, a New York lawyer, and Frederick Catherwood, an English architect, journeyed to the jungles and took a look for themselves. What they saw thrilled and amazed them. Savages, wrote Stevens, incredulously never carved these stones. As Copang, Palanque, and other sites along overgrown by jungles, Catherwood undertook the exciting task of recording the marvels using a camera lucida, an instrument that projects images on flat surface. He traced outlines of buildings on ruled paper and filled in details with painstaking accuracy. The first expedition ended in June 1840 when Catherwood contracted malaria, go figure. But the next year, he and Stevens returned to northern Yucatan. Stevens traveled books with Catherwood. Vivid illustrations aroused, I gotta have more light on this, aroused new interest in the ruins. They widely separated monuments. Stevens conclusions were that the product of a single culture. The civilization was indigenous to the New World, and moreover, the creators of the marvelous world of the past were the ancestors of the modern Indians of the region. In the midst of the desolation, the ruins, wrote Stevens, we looked back to the past, cleared away the gloomy forest, and called back into life the strange people who gazed at us in sadness from the walls. John L. Stevens and Frederick Catherwood had found the lost world of the Mayans. And so the thing is all these ruins were there before the Spaniards got there. Right. They were there long before they got there. Maybe some of the ruins. So that just tells you that these ruins like Machu Picchu and all that are way older, I believe, than what they tell us. There's no way they can be, 1,000 years old or 1,500 or 2,000. They're more like, I would say, probably than 10 or 20,000 year old, maybe more than that. Because I've been looking, they've been talking about the pyramids of Egypt, and they're saying they may be 20,000 years old too. And a lot of that stuff makes a lot more sense. I see Max G is in the house, and he's come to join us along with Michelle Can-Am Free, our love girl. Much love to you, Michelle. Thank you for coming. We got Project Skyfalls in the house. Thank you for coming. I know she likes to stay up late. She's great. Thank you. Okay, the Greece in the New World. While Rome fell and Europe entered the dark ages of barbarians, the Mayans built a great and shiny civilization unknown to the old world people. From the 4th to the 16th century, their city-like ceremonial centers dominated the lush rain country of modern Yucatan, Guatemala, and Honduras, and rivaled in splendor many of the glories of ancient Greece. Inspired by the priests of an occult calendar worship directed by powerful nobility, Mayan artisans and laborers reared public buildings of grace and beauty at least 1,300 years before Pope Gregory the 13th in 1582 gave the old world today's calendar. Mayan philosophers and mathematicians were using more accurate systems 1,000 years before the Hindus. They conceived of the zero, and Mayan astronomers worked out the revolution of the moon and the length of the Venus year. and recurring solar eclipses. Yet the Mayans missed some of the discoveries made by men in other parts of the world, since they lacked native metal that their tools were fashioned primarily out of stone. They never took the simple steps of applying the wheel to transportation, and the principle of the true arc apparently eluded their builders. They never left to future discoveries the remains of an awesome Indian civilization. Okay, and then it goes, it shows the pictures of their buildings, the things they built. Oh, here's a cool one. If you haven't, got to show the picture. Got to show the picture. Oh, I got it on gallery. Oh yeah, here, speaker. There we go. Here's the picture of what they're showing. Okay, that's the Mayans. They were quite the group. Okay, so the big thing about all of this is these Indian tribes, developed from far more advanced people. Now, don't tell me, and I want to ask you, Dave, do you agree that these people could build a giant city, a giant pyramid on top of a mountain, move giant stones, and yet they were too stupid to invent the wheel?
Right.
Does that make any sense?
Nope.
No, it makes no sense. Anybody trying to pass that off, I call bullshit. It'd be like saying, well, we learned how to build an airplane, but we'd never thought about inventing a car.
Right.
Let's see. Cities in silence. Mayan cities were actually ceremonial centers. That's what they tell us. Whose metropolitan partners were not unlike the suburban complexes of the United States today. At their hubs were clusters of massive public buildings surrounded by the dwellings of the priests and nobles. The rest of the population lived in modest thatch-roofed huts and radiated into the countryside and blended in with fringes and nearby jungle. The centers ranged in size from lordly Tequil, and which might have had a population of 100,000, to the 11 small buildings that were bombastic. All the centers suffered a common fate. By the end of the 10th century, Mayan culture had shifted to northern Yucatan, where it was then influenced by Mexican invaders. After a dramatic resistance in the 12th and 13th century, the new centers were disturbed by civil wars that finally led to their abandonment. In time, they disappeared and dispersed, and weakened Indians fell prey to the conquering Spaniards. All the that remained of their once flourishing civilization were silent ruins crumbling under relentless growth of an enfolding jungle. Well, I don't know about you, but I think the cities were there long before. And I think that this is my opinion only. This is for research purposes only. The thing is I think the cities were there long before, and the Indians found them and made a society. I mean, think about it. If you found a big city, wouldn't you say, hey, look there's already buildings here. All we got to do is do a little fix up and we'll have houses and buildings and a fortress. This could be amazing. You wouldn't look at it and say, no. So the question would be is, why were the villagers all living in grass huts, and yet they spend all their time building a giant temple that's, hundreds of feet high with big stones, and then they just didn't even want to build a house that could stand up in a windstorm? Now here's the next thing. This is what else is I'm going to say. So you got the Mayans. This is what fascinates me. You got the Mayans, the Incas, the Aztecs, and they're supposedly all building these giant pyramid-like structures, temples, huge stone cities. And yet they never thought to moved north to, the upper Midwest or something like that, like the North American part, we don't want no part of that.
Right.
Does that, and nobody's seen them build those cities there and say, hey, maybe we should build, they didn't have some guy travel north and say, hey, we're going to make a great thing up here and build a giant city. So I guess I could read a little bit more.
How did they get the rocks up there?
Well, yeah.
How did they cut them so straight?
Absolutely. Yeah.
There are inlays that are cut into the rock that look like they were done with laser printing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. And there's Amber Dawn. Thank you for coming. We got Max Vision remote view class. I don't know if he's got a class tonight, but usually on Saturday nights, he has a show right after my show. And besides that, Max and Zigzagzilla are going to be on this Saturday night. We're going to have a show about frequency. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be great. Okay, I got a marker in here, so this must be where I want to start. And we got the Kings of the South. And this kind of goes all back to the thing. So I want you guys to give me some opinions here. Susie Q says, we are Iroquois here. I have Indian. If I had that, it would be unless it's Cherokee. Cherokee, yeah. Changes in face is strange. Okay. Well, need 6 feet of dirt to protect yourself from certain rays. Oh, they're talking about something else there. Okay. The Lady Pearl Jones is in the house. I guess I missed her earlier. She was on earlier, and we're going to get her back really soon. And she's been sending me videos. We're going to do next time. We're going to have a really good show. Whew, it's going to be fascinating. Okay, the Kings of the South. This goes on about the same thing. Exploration of North America began when the Spanish expeditions along the Gulf Coast in Florida to Texas and inlands northwards into Georgia and Tennessee. That's just where you are. Between 1521 and 1543, among them were the famous Ponce de Leon, seeking the fountain of youth, and De Soto, who was described as much given to the sport of slaying Indians. They were rough and high-handed lot, and the Indians they met were competent to give them in return a discouragingly rough reception. Those Indians knew nothing of war bonnets and dome-shaped wigwams of New England Indians or the council skin tents we call teepees. They were quite unlike the commonly accepted ideas of what Indians look like. Some of the tribes found by the first Spanish, French, English explorers were undoubtedly descended from the Temple Mound builders. Others had never reached the level of development. Some were to become famous in American history. The Creeks, Chickasaws, Cockchaws, and Cherokees, while others, such as the Tamacus of Florida, Tamacus, I guess, Florida, and the Tecutians on the border of Texas, and the Huramas and the Chickimacas in southern Louisiana. I know I mispronounced that one too, but boy, were soon all but exterminated by the white man, and today are extinct or survive only as small remnants. These people were not nomadic. Each tribe had its own territory. Since they farmed on large scale, they lived near their farmlands. Their houses were grouped in large settlements that the earlier colonists and explorers spoke of as towns. The heart of each town was a council house and public square. The houses were solidly built of wood, bark, thatch, and reeds. In the northern and mountain sections, they were walled. In extreme south, they were often had no walls at all. It all depends upon whether you built a house to keep warm in or to keep cool in. In warm weather, the people wore almost no clothes. Men put on breech clout. Women wrapped a bit in a skirt around their middles. When it turned cool, they wrapped robes around themselves, and the men might wear leggings of buckskin. They had a variety of ways of doing their hair. Women usually wore it long, and it is a curiosity thing that in so many different parts of the world, it is the custom for women to let their hair grow long when men trim theirs. Frequently, the men shaved their heads or plucked their hairs in different patterns. When they did this, they usually left a scalp lock. Most of the men were warriors, and their scalp locks were a challenge to all enemies to try to collect their scalps. Then men decorated their bare bodies with tattooing or scratching. When a boy was first named, he was scratched. When he became an apprentice warrior, he was named and scratched again. And when he had proven himself by bringing back a scalp or perhaps a whole head or an enemy's arm or leg, he received the final name and more decorations on his skin. When we name famous tribes, we think of them as organized units. They are not. All the Cretes, for instance, who got their name from the English because many of them lived along creeks, spoke one language, held one religion, followed one set of customs, but they had no central government originally. Each town ruled its own head chief or micro, was very independent. The people of one language recognized a sort of kinship with each other, usually did not fight each other, and often joined together against other tribes. But this was temporarily confederacy of little states, not a true union. Earlier settlers spoke of the head chiefs as kings, and they were not too far wrong. The chiefs were strong authority and were greatly represented. Some like true king of the Natchez were carried on leaders and wore special insignia such as feather cloaks. Their wives might be similarly honored, and they were not hereditary. However, a man attained high rank through demonstrating his superior fitness for it. At the time, that earliest settlers called these chiefs kings, as they did also some of the chiefs of the Atlantic coast were struck by the fundamentalism democracy among the tribes. These were kings by the will of the people, not by the grace of God. The reports of the democracy were carried to Europe, especially by the French. There, the idea of it was further elaborated along the philosophical ideas of the child of nature, the noble red man. The influence of the first observations on the Indians can be traced through the French philosophers to the English, and with it went the concept of government by consent of the governed. This idea was the first put into Pacific's words by the British philosopher Locke. Our own Thomas Jefferson, in turn, borrowed Locke's phrasing and used it, slightly changed it in the Declaration of Independence. The evidence is strong that the development of democracy in both Europe and America was affected by 16th and 17th century contacts with the American Indians. Well, by gosh, so did you learn something out of all of that? Our Declaration of Independence was influenced from Thomas Jefferson by the Indians, and their democracy was the first democracy, an original democracy in America. Go figure. Yeah.
People don't understand,
Yeah, this was kind of interesting because
and then the natives were kicked out, but
yeah, they killed them off, took their ways, and made it to our own. But it just goes to show that they were. I'm gonna have to look up the next one. I'm gonna have to do is the mound builders. But that's the thing. They had houses, and they probably and towns. They had houses and towns and democracy. It just goes to show you that They just weren't these, savage people, and they grew farms of large scale. Really, it's amazing that they didn't advance more. So what I'm thinking is where did they learn all this from? Did they make it up as they went along, or did they learn it from a previous civilization, or were they just carrying on what they had learned earlier? Good question.
A lot of tradition. A lot of trial and error.
Oh, it could be. Definitely
over
could
a lot of years. Not to say they ain't had some spiritual help along the way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But the philosophy of Native people still amazes me in that they just saw no need to build a bunch of stuff, or to conquer a whole continent, or to want to dominate. Now there were Native tribes that were dominating forces, like the Cherokee, and the Cheyenne and the Hopi, and but most of those folks within those tribes were they were proud to be Cheyenne, or they were proud to be Cherokee, or they were proud to be Iroquois, or they were proud to be Blackfoot. So but their basic philosophy, was just to work with Mother Earth and Mother Nature. It was to live with a symbiosis of the planet versus digging everything up and doing like the white man did.
Oh yeah.
So
Brandy Robinson wants to add the Cherokee didn't have a word for mine. They didn't understand the language and lost their land. They expected a man to keep his word also. Which is just what you were saying, is that they were
the Cherokee had an alphabet. They had all this other stuff, and in Virginia and Georgia and places up there, where I can't remember the chief's name, Chief Van Housen or something. Anyway, but he had a prominent plantation there, and they weren't necessarily, I don't think they were using slaves. It was, it was a co-op, if anything.
Yeah.
But it's true how so many people, even today, think that the Native people were just stupid, ignorant savages. And that just isn't true.
No, not at all. I mean, we like you said, they got our Declaration of Independence was stolen from them in their from Thomas Jefferson, or influence. I shouldn't say stolen, it was influence. So, I mean, obviously he's seen and paid attention to what they were doing enough to, understand that they weren't stupid people.
No, and he was there early enough on where there were a lot of native peoples there, and there are a whole lot more native peoples than immigrants.
Oh yeah.
So at that time, there was an understanding between them, because I think the white people knew they were outnumbered generally, and so the best thing to do is to get along. But by getting along in those early days, they found out that those native peoples weren't stupid. Now later on, they took advantage of it and made them stupid, drove them off their land and treated them as savages, and convinced the people that all Indians were bad.
Yeah.
And by that time, the Indians were pissed off at the white people. So wait a minute, all those Indians, they'll kill you if they can. Well, guess what? They got an attitude because white man gave it to them.
Well, yeah. I mean, if I came in and I, took their land, and see here he's making peace with the Indian, and then a little later on, take him out back and shoot him and said, well, he owned that land and I can't really transfer the deed because he don't have it. So
I'm just gonna kill him out back, and then I'll take his land because he's dead.
Yeah,
You
so
know.
all these big boats that came across the sea and all these people getting off, I mean, what the natives should have done was killed every single one of them.
Yeah,
You know,
they would have turned around and went home.
they would have, they would have went, well, maybe not.
Yeah. But I mean, they would have been very, oh my gosh, there's this crazy, civilization there. And if you come close, they'll, we just can't, we're going to have to take a huge force or, whatever. It would have been a lot more work instead of, hey, we went there and these people said, yeah, come on in. Yeah, we got plenty of room. Do you own the land? No.
What does own the land mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Mother Earth cannot be bought,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Linda Brooks, she says, I am Chickamauga. I've been studying my culture for years. My great-great-grandpa was Chief Dragging Canoe. He fought with the Brits to stop Americans, first tribal chief of the nation. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that, Linda Brooks. That was awesome. Lucky Smith come to join us. Much prosperity and favor to you, my friend. Okay, now I got a treat. This is our new book. And I'm going to do this, and we're going to do this. And this is the new book. I just picked it up, and I'm going to do the first story out of here. And it's really, really short. It's a Kiowa legend, and it's called The Great Flood. And here's the picture that's in the book that goes with it. I took the time to run all this off. And so here we go. This is a short one. I hope y'all can see it. I can enlarge it maybe a little bit. I hope they can all see that. Okay, it's called The Great Flood. The Great Flood, a Kiowa legend. The Great Flood is the first section of the Kiowa sacred story cycle. It has been previously published and appears here with permission from Evans Ray Seedhood, an elder of the Southern Kiowa tribe. Oh, I can't move this. Can I move? Oh, yeah, I can move this. Okay, the Kiowa language grandmother spider is called Kawatama. Kana Ta Ma. I'm learning how to say Kiowa language here. According to Kiowa Voices, Volume 2, Myths and Legends. Hey, that might be our book. And Folk Tales by Maurice Boyd, corn, a staple of the Native American diet, the first grew in the garden of the grandmother spider. Grandfather snake is called Coyote or nay. He is also referred to as Stony Road because he leaves a rough and wiggly trail on the ground. Now, if any of you could speak this better than me, email me. I will have you on in a heartbeat, and you can pronounce these words because I struggle. Okay, and here it goes. Oh, I made it too small. I got to get used to this. Okay, long ago, the spirit powers became angry in their rage. They unleashed a mighty storm that ravaged the earth. It rained for 10 days. The water covered the land and everything living was washed away. Only two beings were able to survive the great flood, Grandmother Spider and Grandfather Snake. Grandmother Spider lived because she was light and could float with her many legs on top of the water. Grandfather Snake survived because he could slither through the water. When the rain ceased and the water soaked into the earth, Grandmother Spider and Grandfather Snake became husband and wife. After a time, Grandmother Spider planted a garden. All the grasses, fruits, vegetables, flowers, and trees living on earth today first grew in the garden of Grandmother Spider. And that is the story. I gotta get smaller. And there we go. And that's the picture that goes with it. See the snake here and Grandmother Spider. And this is in the book, Spider Spins a Story, 14 Legends from Native Americans.
That's cool.
Yeah. And
we have more stories like that, and I will be sending you that book, David, and you can read some wonderful stories out of there. I have another book that I got this weekend, and it is Land of the Nakota. And there we go. We're going to be reading some stuff out of that too. So I hope you all enjoy. There we go. So if you like that, let me know. Send me an email. I sure enjoy everybody's emails. Okay. Okay, what do we got tonight? You're up. I did my part. I'm done.
All right, you got the little book up there?
You just got to tell me which page you want.
Okay, go way down or way towards the middle of 352.
352.
And you were just talking about corn and maize.
Yeah.
And so this story is Turkey makes the corn and Coyote plants it. So I'd picked this out before you picked your story out about the corn. And so I was like, there's our connection tonight is maize.
Exactly.
Isn't it amazing? You know,
That's
okay,
right.
never mind.
I sure do love it. Okay, there we go. Okay, can you see that? That's all good.
Yeah, are we there yet,
Yeah, yes. Yes, we are.
All right, so then 3, 2, 1. No, let me get some of my wonderful copy. Want to say thank you, Bob, out there to YouTube for letting us do these shows.
Absolutely.
And to everybody who comes and listens and partakes. Thank you. We love you. Turkey makes the corn and Coyote plants it. White Mountain Apache. Long ago, when all the animals talked like people, Turkey overheard a boy begging his sister for food. What does your little brother want? He asked the girl. He's hungry, but we have nothing to eat, she said. When Turkey heard this, he shook himself all over. Many kinds of fruits and wild food dropped out of his body, and the brother and sister ate these up. Turkey shook himself again, and a variety of corn that is very large dropped out of his feathers. He shook himself a third time, and yellow corn dropped out. And when he shook himself for the fourth time, white corn dropped out. Bear came over, and Turkey told him, I'm helping to feed my sister and my brother over there. Bear said, well, you can shake only 4 times to make food come out of you, but I have every kind of food on me from my feet to my head. Bear shook himself, and out of his fur dropped juniper berries. He shook himself again, and out dropped a cactus that is good to eat. Then he shook out acorns, and then another kind of cactus, and then gamble oak acorns, and then blue oak acorns, and then pinon nuts, and then a species of sumac, then manzanita berries, and then wild mulberries, and then saguaro fruit. Turkey said to the boy and girl, I have 4 kinds of corn seeds here for you, and this is a good place for you to plant them. The sister and brother cut digging sticks and made holes with them. In the holes, they planted all of their corn seeds. The next day, the corn had already come up and was about 1.5 feet high. The girl said, we still have some squash seeds here. So they planted them too. The boy and the girl asked Turkey for more corn seed. The corn is coming up nicely, they said, but so we went to make another farm and plant more corn there. Turkey gave them the seed, and they left him to look after their first field while they started off to make the other farm. When they came back, they heard Turkey hollering at the cornfield, They ran down there and saw him dragging one wing along the ground on the side toward them. There were snakes on the other side of him, and he pretended to have a broken wing to lure the snakes away and shield the boy and girl. The squash plants had young squash on them, and the corn had grown tall and formed ears and tassels. The tassels had pollen in them, and the snakes had come to gather the pollen out of the corn plants. Turkey told the boy and the girl to stay away from the corn for 4 days when the snakes would be finished. At the end of the 4 days, the corn was ripe. The turkey told them, "This will be the only time when the corn will come up in 4 days. From now on, it will take quite a while." And it does. By now, the brother and sister had planted corn 3 times, and they gave seeds to other people. Then Slim Coyote came out and asked for some. "The corn you planted is growing well, and the ears are coming out on it," he said. "I'd like to have some seeds to plant for myself." Coyote would have to do lots of work if he wanted to raise his corn, but that wasn't his plan. "These other people here plant their corn, and after it's grown, they have to cook it. Me, I'm not going to do that. I am not going to do it that way. I'll cook my corn first and then plant it, so I won't have to bother to cook it when it's ripe." Here's where Coyote made a big mistake. He cooked his corn, ate some, and planted quite a patch of the rest. He felt pretty good about it. "Now I've done well for myself. You people have to cook your corn after you plant it, but mine will already be cooked," he said. After planting, he went off with the rest of the people to gather acorns. But when they returned to their fields, Coyote said, "Nothing growing on it at all." He said angrily, "You people must have taken the hearts out of the corn seeds you gave me." "No, we didn't do that," they told him. "But you cooked the heart out of them before you planted." Coyote asked for some more seeds and planted them the right way this time. So his corn grew. The day after he planted it, it was up about 1.5 feet, and he felt good. The people who had planted their corn at the beginning of their harvest, were harvesting now and tying it up into bundles. Coyote saw these and wanted some. People got mad at Coyote because he was always asking them for corn. "I just want some green ears to feed my children," he would say. "As soon as my corn is ripe, I'll pay you back." The other people had all their corn in and stripped now, but their squashes were still growing in the field. Coyote stole their squash, and the people all came to his camp. They wanted to know if he was the one who was stealing their squash. Coyote pretended to get angry. "You're always blaming me for stealing everything. There are lots of camps over there. Why do you have to choose mine to come to with your accusations?" But the people knew about Coyote's thieving ways. "From now on, don't make your farm near us. Move away and live someplace else," they said. "All right, there are several of you that I was going to repay with corn, but I won't do it now that you've treated me this way," he said. So Coyote's family lived poorly, and they never bothered to cook anything before they ate it. Based on Greenville Goodwin's version of 1939.
Well, there we go. That was good. That was good. You
So I got a
one.
couple right here in a row.
All right.
So, I mean, we're just going to go to the next page. 355. Coyote takes water from the frog people.
Okay. I'll get this up.
And it's from, I might be mispronouncing this, but Kalapuya tribe.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah, but I ain't necessarily how, as well as I try to pronounce it as close as I can get it, I know I murdered some of these too. So you ain't alone, Robert. I just try, I've just been around it a little longer.
Yes, you have.
All right. So a nice drink of coffee. Hope everyone is doing well. And we hope that you find some kind of entertainment, lessons, and or wisdom in the stories. Now, Coyote takes water from the frog people. Coyote was out hunting and he found a dead deer. One of the deer's rib bones looked just like a big dentalia shell. And Coyote picked it up and took it with him. He went up to see the frog people. The frog people had all of the water. When anyone wanted any water to drink or to cook or to wash with, they had to go and get it from the frog people. Coyote came up. Hey, frog people, I have a big dentalia shell. I want a big drink of water. I want to drink for a long time. Give us that shell, said the frog people, and you can drink all you want. Coyote gave them the shell and began drinking. The water was behind a large dam where Coyote drank. I'm going to keep my head down for a long time, said Coyote, because I am really thirsty. Don't worry about me. Okay, we won't worry, said the frog people. Coyote began drinking. He drank for a long time. Finally, one of the frog people said, hey, Coyote, you sure are drinking a lot of water there. What are you doing that for? Coyote brought his head up out of the water. I'm thirsty. Oh. After a while, one of the frog people said, Coyote, you sure are drinking a lot. Maybe you better give us another shell. Just let me finish this drink, said Coyote, putting his head back under the water. The frog people wondered how a person could drink so much water. They didn't like this. They thought Coyote might be doing something. Coyote was digging out under the dam all the time he had his head under the water. When he was finished, he stood up and said, that was a good drink. That was just what I needed. Then the dam collapsed and the water went out into the valley and made the creeks and the rivers and the waterfalls. The frog people were very angry. You've taken all the water, Coyote. It's not right that one people have all the water. Now it is where everyone can have it. Coyote did that. Now anyone can go down to the river and get a drink of water or some water to cook with or to just swim around. Told by Barry Lopez in 1977. Now, there obviously should be, there is a moral to that. Not any one person or peoples should control all of one thing. It should be shared. So Coyote, in his craziness, though, said, hang on, no, and shared the water.
And that is so true.
And so, is that story worth it? It's a parable and a parable. A parable. Yeah, thank you very much. My mouth wants to work on its own tonight. But sometimes the stories are just stories, and then sometimes it's like, well, there you go. Coyote was the trickster, but he also was the creator too.
Yeah.
So anyway,
well, Eldon, or was it Isby says Coyote not a person, right? No, Coyote is a representation of a person, just like Badger or Raven or anything like that. I mean, he's kind of acts like a person, but they just label him an animal. They do it in other stories all around the world. I mean, that not just the Indians did, but they did that for all kinds of places, didn't they?
Yeah, well, the big bad wolf.
Yeah.
I mean, and the three little pigs.
The three little pigs, yeah.
So, but in a way, that's basically it.
Yeah.
But the coyote personage, if you will, not that Coyote was a man, but Coyote was a persona, or Anyway, so the next story is the next one in line. You don't have to go far.
All right, just give me a second. I can get it up and get it shared here. There we go.
Giddy up there, cowboy.
How the People Got Arrowheads, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You're set to go.
How the People Got Arrowheads. Shasta. In the days when the first people lived, they used to go hunting with arrows that had pine bark points. They did not know where to get obsidian, or that they would have used it for obsidian. Obsidian made a sharp, deadly point, which always killed the animals that were shot. Ground Squirrel was the only one who knew that Obsidian Old Man lived on Medicine Lake. And one day he set out to steal some obsidian. Taking a basket filled with roots, he went into Obsidian Old Man's house and offered him some. Obsidian Old Man ate the roots and liked them so much that he sent Ground Squirrel out to get more. While Ground Squirrel was digging for them, Grizzly Bear came along. "Sit down," Grizzly Bear said. "Let me sit in your lap. Feed me those roots by the handful." Ground Squirrel was very much afraid of huge Grizzly Bear, and so he did as he was told. Grizzly Bear gobbled the roots and got up. Obsidian Man's old mother cleaned those roots for someone, he said as he went away. Ground Squirrel returned to Obsidian Old Man, but there were only a few roots left to give him. Ground Squirrel told him the Grizzly Bear what Grizzly Bear had done and what he had said as he departed. Obsidian Old Man was extremely angry at the insult to his dead mother. "Tomorrow we will both go to find roots," he said. So early next morning they set off. Obsidian Old Man hid near the place where Ground Squirrel started digging. Soon Ground Squirrel's basket was filled, and then along came Grizzly Bear. "You dug all of these for me," he said. "Sit down." Ground Squirrel sat down as he had the day before and fed Grizzly Bear roots by the handful. But just then, Grizzly Bear saw Obsidian Old Man draw near, and the bear got up to fight. At each blow, a great slice of the grizzly's flesh was cut off by the sharp obsidian. Grizzly Bear kept fighting till he was all cut to pieces, and then he fell dead. So Ground Squirrel and Obsidian Man went home and ate the roots and were happy. Early next morning, Obsidian Old Man was awakened by Ground Squirrel's groaning. "I'm sick. I am bruised because that great fellow sat upon me. Really, I am sick," he was groaning. Obsidian Old Man was sorry for Ground Squirrel. "I'll go and get wood," he said to himself, "but I'll watch him, for he may be fooling me. These people are very clever." So he went out for wood, and on the way he thought, "I'd better go back and look." When he crept back softly and peeped in, he saw Ground Squirrel lying there groaning. But Ground Squirrel was very clever. He had been fooling all the time. As soon as the Obsidian Old Man was far away, he got up. Taking all the obsidian points, and tying them up in a bundle, he ran off. As soon as Obsidian Old Man returned, he missed Ground Squirrel. He dropped the wood, ran after him, and almost caught him, but Ground Squirrel ran into a hole in the ground. As he went, he kicked the earth into the eyes of the old man, who was digging fast, trying to catch him. After a while, Obsidian Old Man gave up and left. Ground Squirrel came out the other end of the hole, crossed the lake, and went home. He emptied the bundle of points on the ground and distributed them to everyone. All day long, the people worked, tying them onto arrows. They threw away all the old bark points, and when they went hunting, they used the new arrow points and killed a great many deer, based on a tale recorded by E.W. Gifford in 1930. So there are many things that the natives, it tells, now whether Ground Squirrel actually went to a person whose name was Obsidian Old Man or not. But the fact that they tell the story that they started out with pine bark arrowheads.
Mm-hmm.
They started out with just plain sticks.
Mm-hmm.
And then somewhere along the line, they learned, wait, obsidian. And they were able to put it on the, so it's a story of how they learned and how they gained whatever knowledge through Ground Squirrel or whatever to learn how to put obsidian as an arrowhead. I mean, so it's like, dang, well, if we had something better than the end of this stick, oh, wait a minute. So whether it was a dream or someone showed them, but it shows that they learned that there was something better than just a stick. And it would kill grizzly bear too.
Yeah. Well, and see, that's the thing. It's what I'm getting from a lot of these Indian stories and stuff is that they would start, or like, you got the poor Indians guys, and they're just stumbling around going, if it's the corn, or I'm hungry, or it's the, we can't kill the animals, we just have poor pine bark arrowheads, and then this a metaphor of a parable kind of thing. It's like this man, somebody comes along and says, I have better tools. And they all look at him like, holy cow, he's got better tools than us. And then we need to have those better tools. If we have to either steal them or the whoever that entity is, like the turkey in the last story, they come down and then they say, okay, yeah, we can see you're starving, we're going to give you some corn. And did you notice how that was? We're going to make the corn grow in 4 days, but it'll never grow in 4 days again. Did they use some magic? Like this guy, he killed a grizzly bear. Obsidian Man killed a giant grizzly bear. And I'm thinking, Obsidian Man must be pretty dang strong to kill a grizzly bear with this. He has special tools because grizzly bears are pretty tough.
Well, by the way, flint is a type of obsidian in a way. Yeah. So what's obsidian? Well, it's like flint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, but I mean, still, it's a strong. I mean, it's more knowledge. It's just a little bit above not have bark. You know what I'm saying? And then of course, then came the white man who said, "Ha, obsidian, flint, whatever." No, we got metal.
Right.
We got metal.
We have metal projectiles with gunfire that spit. I mean, these sticks that burp fire and flame and thunder. The thunder sticks. the rifles and the guns, and yeah, how in the hell are you going to fight that with a stick? You know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, my gosh. What do you got? Do you got another story or more cards? You got cards for tonight?
Oh, I've been flipping cards right now while we were talking. So
I knew it. Oh boy, here we go. We got a treat for everybody, right? I know everybody loves the card at the end of the show. They it's one of those things. It gives them the good vibe, the good vibe for the week of either it's porcupine or it's raven or coyote or lizard or something cool and wise. Elderberry says air gun shoots arrows. Yeah, there is an arrow shooting air gun out there, which I guess is pretty cool. No bowstrings required.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so the first card up for this evening, I had another story, but it's a little longer and it is after 11, but that's okay. We don't have to do it. It'll be another time. But the first card up tonight, actually, I think it's the last card in the book. And somebody needs this card out there, but it's Hummingbird.
You got the card? Can you hold it up? I got you on the big view now.
Oh, wait. Let's see. And
yeah, there you go. Just hold it up straight. Yeah.
I was trying to get it. See, but the
Yeah.
light's behind it.
Yeah.
And it needs to be in front of it.
Okay. There we go. I can see it real good now. Hummingbird. Okay.
So the Hummingbird card, number 44.
Okay, cool.
And by the way, the turkey, as we've had the turkey card before, turkey is the giveaway. So it was one of the animals that said, look, y'all are starving. Here, take me, And so the fact that the turkey, his giveaway was the corn rather than himself in this story. But from our studies from the other discussions about turkey being the giveaway instead of himself, but he did give himself in of the corn and so forth. But anyway, just kind of help folks remember what turkey's about. I did not know that all that stuff would come out of the bear's fur, though. I had not heard that. Anyway, number 44 is Hummingbird, and it's joy. Hummingbird, joyful little sister, nectar you crave. All the sweetness of the flowers is the love you gave. Hummingbird is associated with the ghost shirt religion, which taught that a certain dance done properly would bring about the return of the animals and that white people would disappear. Once again, the original people would know that joy of the old ways. In Mayan teachings, and you talked about Mayans tonight, Hummingbird is connected to the black sun and the fifth world. Hummingbird can always give us the medicine to solve the riddle of the contradiction of duality. The song of Hummingbird awakens the medicine flowers. Hummer sings a vibration of pure joy. Flowers love Hummingbird because the nectar sucking brings about the reproduction of their families. Plants flower and live because of Hummingbird. Hummingbird can fly in any direction, up, down, backwards, and forwards. Hummingbird can also hover in one spot and appear to be motionless. Great Spirit created Hummingbird to be slightly different from other feathered creatures. Because of their magical qualities, hummingbird feathers have been used for a millennium in the making of love charms. It is said that hummingbird conjures love as no other medicine does. And that hummingbird feathers open the heart. Without an open and loving heart, you can never taste the nectar and the pure bliss of joy, or the pure bliss of life. To brother and sister hummingbird, life is a wonderful delight, a wonderland of delight, darting from one beautiful flower to another, tasting the essences and radiating the colors. If hummingbird is your personal medicine, you love life and its joys. Your presence brings joy to others. You join people together in relationships which bring out the best in them. You know instinctively where beauty abides. And near or far, you journey to your ideal. You move comfortably within a beautiful environment and help others taste the succulent nectar of life. Hummingbird holds the bow of beauty, which is delicately inlaid with gold and silver flowers, pearls and precious jewels. Hummingbird disdains ugliness or harshness and quickly flies away from discord or disharmony. If hummingbird is flown into your cards, get ready. Excuse me, Duggar's after them cats outside. If hummingbird is flown into your cards, get ready to laugh musically and enjoy creator's many gifts. Drop your judgmental attitude and relax. That's a good message. Drop your judgmental attitude and relax. That means you too, Duggar. Quit being judgmental to them cats. Hummingbird will no doubt give you a flash of spirit darting here and there and everywhere. Get ready for a strange new burst of energy, which may send your senses reeling. Hummingbird hears celestial music, and it is and in its harmony, and is in harmony with it. Hummingbird may invite you to an art museum or a concert. Hummingbird energetically embraces the higher aesthetics. Never be coarse in front of hummingbird, for this is a fragile medicine which may have no understanding of worldly affairs. Beauty is the target, and hummingbird's mission is to spread joy or to be destroyed. Hummingbird quickly dies if caged, caught, or imprisoned. Follow Sister Hummingbird, and you will soon be filled with the paroxysms of joy and experience a renewal of the magic of living. So relax, drop your judgmental attitude and relax. There's so much stuff going on now and people arguing between and this and that. So have a discussion, but drop your judgmental attitude and relax. Now the second card, which I wasn't quite sure, and they said, no, this is it. So it is Armadillo upside down. And they confirmed, yep. Okay, so number 28. So there didn't seem to be a third card tonight, but the universe is asking you to find joy, and there ain't nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that.
Just saying, And Armadillo is boundaries. Number 28.
All right.
Armadillo, armor all my boundaries. Teach me my shields. Reflect all the hurt, so I will not yield. Armadillo wears its armor on its back, its medicine a part of its body. Its boundaries of safety are part of its total being. Armadillo can roll into a ball and never be penetrated by animals or by enemies. And they're stinky little rascals, let me tell you. What a gift it is to set your boundaries so that harmful words or intentions just roll off. Your lesson is in setting up what you are willing to experience. If you do not wish to experience feeling invaded, just call on Armadillo medicine. A clue to how to proceed is to make a circle on a piece of paper and see it as a medicine shield. In the body of the shield, write all that you are desiring to have, do, or experience. Include all the things that give you joy. There's a key word, joy, from from Hummingbird earlier. This sets up boundaries that allow only those chosen experiences to be a part of your life. These boundaries become a shield that wards off those things which are undesirable to you. The shield reflects what you are and what your will is to others on an unconscious level. Outside of the shield, you may put what you are willing to experience by invitation only. For example, a visit from a long-lost relative, or criticism from friends, or people needing handouts. If Armadillo has waddled into your cards, it is time to define your space. It is time to define your space. You may have been too willing to let your home become a bus station. You may find that you cannot say no, even when you know that you will have to cancel your plans to be obliging to others. This routine can get old in a hurry. It may be time to ask yourself the following questions. Am I honoring the time I need for my own personal enjoyment? Do others treat me like a doormat? Why do I always get upset when I'm taken for granted? Remember, his Armadillo was about boundaries. Is there a reason for my being a yes person all the time? Now the card's upside down, so here's the contrary. Go ahead, roll up and hide. This, sarcastically, is the message of reversed Armadillo. You may think the only way to win in your present situation is to hide or to pretend that you are armor-coated and invincible. But this is not the way to grow. It is better to open up and find the value and the strength of your vulnerability. You will experience something wonderful if you do. Vulnerability is the key to enjoy the gifts of physical life. In allowing yourself to feel, a myriad of expressions are made available. For instance, a true compliment is an admiration flow of energy. If you are afraid of being hurt and are hiding from feelings, anything, you will never feel the joy of admiration of others. If you are afraid of being hurt and are hiding from feeling anything, you will never feel the joy of admiration from others. The key is in allowing Armadillo to help you to stop hiding and to use Armadillo's armor to deflect negative energies. In this way, you are able to accept or reject any feeling, action, or energy flow without having to hide from it. The underside of Armadillo is soft, but its armor will protect this soft underside. This softness, if the boundaries are in place. Hiding from your true feelings and fearing failure or rejection will amplify your need for cast iron protection. You have the power to rid yourself of these doubts and to touch the deepest part of your beingness. You will know you are doing the right thing. Whether it is communicating or painting or surfing or whatever, the creation belongs to you. The only real rejection is in not trying to break out of the armor you have used to protect yourself. Is the armor now becoming a jail and your fears the jailer? And I got to say that there are some folks who have covered this home with armor, and they're still really afraid of stuff, really afraid of stuff. And when they really maybe shouldn't be wasting their energy on that. So the key is in allowing Armadillo to help you to stop hiding and to use Armadillo's armor to deflect negative energies. In this way, you are able to accept or reject any feeling, action, or energy flow without having to hide from it. That is a very, 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 in life, that's a very key thing. There are people, like somebody sends me a nasty email, blah, blah, blah. I look at it, I glance at it, and my little brain says, you know, if you keep reading that, it's going to piss you off. You know that there's nothing in there. They don't understand what you were talking about, or they would have not made this comment. Just reject it. Just eject, you know, garbage bin, trash pile. So, and as most people know, when I say my prayer at the end, I say, learn to accept accept and receive the gifts from the universe. Well, also accept and reject those negative things. You know, so, but here's Armadillo, you know, clearly saying having joy in your life and stop hiding. If you understand you've got Armadillo armor on to protect you from these negative energies, then go have fun. You know, quit being negative all the time and quit, you know, there's enough in this world to keep us scared crapless. You know, don't make it any worse.
Yep, that is for sure.
And it's a simple message, but with all this going on these days, you know, it's kind of hard not to like be scared. And we were talking about this afternoon, some friends of mine and I, and it's like, in my 69 and a half years, for those of you, there's the joke, in the 69 and a half years that I've been here, I mean, I lived through the 60s, you know, living in Tampa. I was really close to the Cuban Missile Crisis, you know, and we lived through, sure enough, you know, blacks and whites in the street and strife and killings and shootings all across America. There was a Vietnam War and our folks coming home in body bags and we're watching the news at 6 o'clock and seeing death and destruction and napalm being dropped on people. It hasn't been that bad since. Now, we've had wars and things and stuff, but this time and these crises that are going on now, less food on the shelves and all of the above, it's scary times, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
But getting more scared about it doesn't do any good. So look for alternative ways to, well, I don't have my favorite coffee, then pick another. You know,
yeah,
I'm sorry, adapt. Adapt.
That's right. Well, you know, that's exactly it. This is the time to get to know your neighbor, because there may be times ahead where you should grow a garden. You know, I mean, back in World War II, they had the victory gardens because they didn't have food on the shelves, and they said, grow some of your own food because we can't feed you anymore. We need the food for the army, and we need the food for this and that. So the thing is I've been listening to a bunch of people, and they're saying, yeah, you know, if you have something, you're going to have to get to know some neighbors so you can trade. You might have a can of corn and they want a can of beans, and you swap, you know, maybe you got some coffee.
Or you make a goulash and both of you eat together.
Yeah.
And as native folks do.
Yeah. And that's what one guy suggested, Mike Adams, if anybody listens to him, he said, or no, it wasn't Mike Adams. Maybe it was. No, it was a Full Spectrum Survival, Brad, from Full Spectrum Survival. He was saying, you know, you get to know neighbors, and then every week one of the neighbors has a dinner. And you know, you go to Joe's house one day, and a couple days later you go to Pete's house, and then you go over and they cook for everybody. So, you know, one person doesn't have to, you know, and then they share the food. So tonight, hey, we're not cooking, we're going over to Joe's, and tomorrow we're not cooking because we're going to Pete's, and then the next day we're not cooking because we're going to Kelly's, and then the next day we're not cooking. Well, guess what? You're saving a bunch of food, but then one day it's your turn, and then you make food for all of those families. And then the thing is while you all congregate together, you say, hey, you know, I got some soap. I know how to make soap. And the other gal says, hey, I know how to sew. And the other one says, well, you may know how to sew and make soap, but I'm a good fisherman. You know, I could catch fish, kind of thing. And then the next thing you know, you got your little community of trading and you know, I may sound silly, everybody, but that is something that we may all have to think about, because times may be on the way that we've never knew, neither you nor me, nor maybe our great grandfathers have seen, but we sure haven't.
It's going to be remnant. I have mentioned this before, not to scare people, but people forget the Great Dust Bowl. When the whole Midwest was covered with dirt, and families and livelihoods and everything and people went hungry because the wheat and all the stuff that was grown out there wasn't there for years. And during World War II, there were food cards, you know, and if you didn't have enough whatever, you didn't get any food, period, whether it was on the shelves or not. If you're sort of like a food stamp card, but it was your ration card. Food was rationed. You know, people are complaining now, well, I don't get my stuff because the shelves are empty. Back in World War II, you didn't go to a store. You went and got, because you had rations.
Yeah.
You might not get cereal. You might not get this. People saved their tin cans and it went back to the war effort. What we have now is just so different. But there are a lot of folks who are like, well, no matter how bad it gets, I think we'll be all right, whatever happens on the other side. We are very good at adapting, but there are some folks that it's going to kill, literally, to try to adapt. And if all the stories and legends that we have told and still do after this is our 22nd, by the way, that people have learned how to adapt.
They did.
Oh, and speaking of neighbors, by the way, my neighbor on this side over last weekend was burning their property and everything, and I burned my backyard. But we're having a chat, and over the years, we're both about the same age within a month or two. And he was like, you know, he was looking down the hill back on his place, and he goes, if I was to shoot a deer and it goes on your place, it's all right to go get it, right? And I go, of course, you know. And he goes, well, if I kill a deer down here, whether or not it goes on your place or not, would you like to have some of it? And I went, what? And he goes, well, if we shoot a deer, they got 25 acres, nice deer stand, open place, good place to shoot deer. And he goes, well, the next time I shoot one, I'll bring you some.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, and over the years, we barely had any kind of conversation. Whatever is going on now, even for my neighbor who we've barely had a conversation, now wants to bring me a deer or part of a deer. I'm not asking, not speaking poorly, you know, like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. I mean, you know, he just offered, period. So there is a change here already. People are feeling it for whatever reason. And neighbors are becoming neighbors where before they just didn't have anything to do with each other. Now, I don't know how it is on the rest of the planet, but it's been strange around here in a really good way.
Yeah. Well, when these types of things happen, people say, I used to be strong and independent, but I think deep down they go, I can't do it all on my own.
Right.
And that's the time Delaney Pearl Jones, she says, I learned how to grow food in containers, and every type of seed I get from my produce I save. So, that's something that, I don't know if all those seeds are going to grow from the produce, but hey, the idea that you can grow food in containers in your house or on your porch or something, more power to you. If you can grow one tomato, is one less tomato that you have to buy in the store.
And it'll be a good tomato.
Yeah, you grow some
Not
lettuce.
something that's been in a freezer for a while until it gets, speaking of tomatoes and fresh vegetables, a lot of people don't understand that tomatoes are picked green because they bruise easily. So for packing and everything, they pick them to where there's just a little pink around the top of the tomato, which means it's going to ripen. And then it goes right into a cooler and stays in this cooler at a temperature that keeps it from ripening until they get it, guess where, to the store. So they take it out of the cooler, send it to Harvey's or Walmart's or whatever to their produce section, and it ripens on the way. It finishes the cycle on the way, and while it's being put on the shelf, it's ripening.
It's ripening.
So
I just got some from Walmart the other day, which aren't as good as the ones I normally get from the grocery store uptown.
Right.
But and they are hard like a rock, and they are you can see they're more pink than real red. They're not that deep red that I normally like.
Because that's how because I've worked with tomato plants in fields and done it, picked them the whole 9 yards. So people think they're getting something nice and fresh out of Walmart. No, you ain't. Sorry. Go to some place that might actually have some fresh tomatoes.
Yeah.
But there ain't nobody that's got fresh tomatoes this time of year. They're going to be frozen. They're going or have been in a cooler for a while. So all this stuff about, ooh, it's March and I got a fresh tomato. Maybe not.
Yep. Well, we all learned a lot. And if anybody wants to come on and talk about gardening, I'd love to have you on. If I see Linda Brooks, Linda Brooks, I got to have you on. You email me. I want to get you on this show, and we can talk about repurposing all these things, cans, glass, plastic. You've been doing that for years.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, come on, spread your information out to the Soul Tribe. It'll be great. If Delaney can come on and spread her information, plant a bag of, Linda says, plant a bag of potatoes and a garlic bulb, onion, they will grow. You can grow frozen corn as well. Oh, really? I didn't know it. It grows frozen?
But you know what? Talking about potatoes, over the last couple of months, I've been saving my potatoes that have been growing eyes.
Yeah.
And I planted them outside where we've opened up a new opened up an old flower bed. And since I didn't have any bulbs at the time, I just put in these potatoes. I got some coming up this high already.
Oh, wow.
And from the store bought.
Yeah.
So all you got to do is go out in the yard and find a place and stick these things and they'll come up.
Yeah, I know. I got 2 bags that I had from last year that, finally started getting soft, and they're all sprouting, and I'm just waiting for the weather to get warm, about the second week of April, and they're all going in the garden. I'm going to have so many potatoes, but the thing is in North Dakota here, root crops are about the best thing that grows, like potatoes, turnips, carrots, radishes, tomatoes, really hard to get them. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people, and even though the plant grows nice and big, they just don't ripen up. The weather's cold, Then anyway, so anyway, anybody wants to come on? I had Gaza Cab come on. before, and I'm going to try to get him on again because he's a gardener by par. Oh boy, he grows everything, but I'd like to have other ideas too. I'm always welcome to have anybody on. Delaney says, I reuse and repurpose every container I obtain, Delaney. She says, oh my goodness. So anyway, it's all been good. We've had a great show. And later on, me and Isby are going to do a show with King Og. This book here, I think I can pull it up. Hang on, give me a second. I got where did I put that? Oh, I had it here too. You can see it better. Where did I do? When I want to find this. Oh yeah, here we go. There we go. And we are going to do the King Og book later this week, or we're going to tape it or do something, but I think he's got his equipment all working. And I remember now, if anybody remembers, Wayne kind of did this book. I don't know if he did the whole exact thing, but he read through it for 2 or 3 days. It's very interesting. We're gonna share the wisdom out of that, and it's really interesting. I love the giant stuff, giants, Nephilim, Raphaim. It's all good, but I appreciate your emails. I sure enjoy when people send me emails. Linda Brooks says, yeah, I'd happy to come on the show. Great. Just give me an email and I'll send you a few back, and we'll get talking. We'll pick out a day, and it'd be awesome to hear from you. I think you got a lot of wisdom to spread to everybody else. And boy, this has been a really good show. I really love those stories. Can't wait till I can make them in the shorts too. And we're going to have another great show for everybody next week. Same time, same place. And this weekend, don't forget, is also Max Vision and Zigzagzilla. And we're going to talk about frequency. And we all know that we're all frequency. And what are we going to learn from them? Lots.
And be the frequency you want to receive.
Absolutely. Okay, everybody. And with that, I guess we'll end the show. I let you say it this time. So we're good.
I slipped it in there.
Absolutely. Now you're gonna have a show on tonight or this week?
Probably for a little bit, but no all-nighter.
All-nighter. You've put on quite a few all-nighters.
Yeah, quite a few. Yeah.
Yes. I get to catch them in the morning though. Sometimes I've caught a few of those. You were still on in the morning when I was going to work.
I know, and tired. Boy, the next day it'll wipe me out.
Oh yeah, I know it. Okay, and okay. So everybody, peace, everybody.